What if I told you that Iraq might be about to make one of the biggest currency moves in decades? Picture this: you wake up tomorrow morning and check the exchange rates, only to find that the Iraqi dinar has completely transformed overnight. The Central Bank of Iraq has been dropping hints about a major shift in their currency policy. And today, we're going to break down exactly what this means for the Iraqi dinar and why 2025 could be the year everything changes. I'm talking about Iraq's potential move to a managed float system and what this could mean for the exchange rate. Some experts are suggesting we could see rates as favorable as 1.95 Iraqi dinars per US dollar. But before you get too excited, we need to understand what's really happening behind the scenes. Today, we're going to explore the current state of Iraq's economy, their currency challenges, and what a managed float system actually means. We'll also look at the realistic possibilities for 2025 and separate fact from fiction. So grab a cup of coffee and let's dive into this complex but fascinating topic. Let's start by understanding where Iraq stands right now with their currency system. Currently, Iraq operates under what's called a fixed exchange rate system. This means the Central Bank of Iraq sets the value of the dinar against the US dollar and tries to maintain it at that level. Right now, the official rate sits at around 1,320 Iraqi dinars per US dollar. But here's where things get interesting. There's often a big difference between the official rate and what you see in the street markets. This gap between official and market rates has been a persistent problem for Iraq's economy. It creates what economists call a dual exchange rate system, which can lead to all sorts of economic complications. The Iraqi government has to spend billions of dollars each year trying to defend this fixed rate. They do this by selling US dollars from their foreign reserves to keep the dinar stable. But this approach has been putting serious strain on Iraq's foreign currency reserves. Now, let's talk about what a managed float system would actually mean. In a managed float system, the currency value is primarily determined by market forces of supply and demand. However, the central bank still intervenes occasionally to prevent excessive volatility. Think of it like this: instead of holding the currency at exactly one price, the central bank allows it to move within a certain range. When the currency moves too far in one direction, the bank steps in to nudge it back. This system gives more flexibility than a fixed rate, but still provides some stability. Third, it could make Iraq's exports more competitive in global markets. A more flexible exchange rate can help a country's products become more attractive to foreign buyers. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: the claim about 1.95 Iraqi dinars per US dollar. To understand why this number is being discussed, we need to look at Iraq's economic fundamentals. Iraq has the world's fifth largest proven oil reserves. Their oil production has been steadily increasing over the past few years. The country also has significant natural gas reserves and other mineral resources. These factors suggest that Iraq's currency could potentially be much stronger than its current level. However, there are also significant challenges that we can't ignore. Iraq still faces serious political instability and security concerns. The country's infrastructure needs massive investment and modernization. Corruption remains a significant problem that affects economic efficiency. The economy is heavily dependent on oil exports, making it vulnerable to price fluctuations. These factors create downward pressure on the currency that can't be ignored. So, where does the 1.95 rate come from? Some analysts believe that if Iraq successfully implements economic reforms and improves stability, the dinar could strengthen significantly. They point to the country's oil wealth and suggest that the current exchange rate doesn't reflect Iraq's true economic potential. However, it's important to understand that currency movements of this magnitude don't happen overnight. Even if Iraq moves to a managed float system, such a dramatic change would likely occur gradually over several years. Let's look at some real-world examples of countries that have made similar transitions. When China began moving away from a fixed exchange rate system in 2005, the changes happened slowly over many years. The Chinese yuan didn't suddenly jump to a dramatically different value. Instead, it gradually appreciated as China's economy grew and became more market-oriented. Similarly, when other oil-rich countries have reformed their currency systems, the changes typically occurred in phases. The key lesson here is that sustainable currency changes usually happen gradually, not all at once. Now, what would need to happen for Iraq to successfully implement a managed float system? First, they would need to build up adequate foreign currency reserves to handle potential volatility. This means accumulating enough US dollars and other major currencies to intervene when necessary. Second, they would need to develop more sophisticated financial markets and institutions. A managed float system requires banks and financial institutions that can handle increased currency trading. Third, the government would need to implement broader economic reforms to address structural issues. This includes improving governance, reducing corruption, and diversifying the economy away from oil dependence. Fourth, they would need to establish clear communication with markets about their intentions and policies. Transparency and predictability are crucial for maintaining confidence in a managed float system. Let's also consider what this could mean for ordinary Iraqis. If the dinar does strengthen significantly, it could make imports cheaper for Iraqi consumers. This might reduce the cost of food, medicine, and other essential goods that Iraq imports. However, it could also make Iraqi exports more expensive, potentially affecting employment in export industries. The impact on different sectors of the economy would vary considerably. For people holding Iraqi dinar, a stronger currency would increase their purchasing power internationally. But for businesses that export goods or services, it might create new challenges. Now, let's talk about the timeline for these potential changes. The mention of 2025 in our title reflects speculation about when significant reforms might be implemented. However, it's crucial to understand that currency policy changes depend on many factors. Political stability, oil prices, regional security, and global economic conditions all play important roles. Even if Iraq announces a move to managed float in 2025, the full effects would likely take years to materialize. Currency markets tend to be forward-looking, so some changes might occur in anticipation of policy shifts. But dramatic movements like reaching 1.95 IQD per USD would require sustained economic improvement. It's also worth noting that not all experts agree on the likelihood of such dramatic currency appreciation. Some economists argue that Iraq's structural challenges make such rapid currency strengthening unlikely. They point to ongoing security issues, political instability, and infrastructure deficits as limiting factors. Others are more optimistic, emphasizing Iraq's natural resource wealth and potential for growth. The reality is probably somewhere in between these viewpoints. Iraq does have significant economic potential, but realizing that potential requires overcoming substantial challenges. What should you watch if you're interested in following these developments? First, keep an eye on announcements from the Central Bank of Iraq regarding currency policy. Any official statements about moving to a managed float system would be significant news. Second, monitor Iraq's foreign currency reserves and oil export revenues. These indicators provide insight into the country's ability to support currency reforms. Third, watch for broader economic reforms and political developments. Currency policy doesn't exist in isolation, it's connected to overall economic and political conditions. Fourth, pay attention to international support and investment in Iraq. Increased foreign investment and international cooperation could support currency strengthening. It's also important to be aware of the risks and uncertainties involved. Currency markets can be volatile and predictions don't always come true. Political events, security incidents, or changes in oil prices could all affect outcomes. Anyone considering investment decisions based on currency speculation should be extremely cautious. The Iraqi dinar market has historically been subject to scams and misleading information. Always verify information from multiple reliable sources before making any financial decisions. Let's also consider the regional context for these potential changes. The Middle East has been experiencing significant economic and political shifts in recent years. Other countries in the region have been implementing currency and economic reforms. Iraq's potential move to a managed float system fits within this broader trend toward market-oriented policies. However, regional instability and conflicts continue to create challenges for all countries in the area. The success of Iraq's currency reforms would likely depend partly on broader regional stability and cooperation. So where does all this leave us with the Iraqi dinar and the potential for change in 2025? The possibility of Iraq moving to a managed float system is real and could represent a significant shift in their economic policy. A rate of 1.95 Iraqi dinars per US dollar would represent dramatic strengthening from current levels. While Iraq's oil wealth and natural resources provide a foundation for such possibilities, the path forward faces substantial challenges. Political stability, economic reforms, and regional security all play crucial roles in determining outcomes. The timeline for any major changes remains uncertain, and dramatic currency movements typically occur gradually rather than overnight. What's most important is to stay informed about developments while maintaining realistic expectations. If you found this analysis helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what aspects of Iraq's economic situation you'd like me to explore further. Subscribe to stay updated on currency developments and economic analysis from around the world. Remember, when it comes to currency speculation and investment decisions, always do your own research and consider seeking professional financial advice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll continue exploring global economic developments that could shape our financial future. I have to tell you something. Go to google.com and search dinaropinions.com and open this website. Here you can see the latest news, dinar opinions, and dinar guru updates on a single page, so visit this site for more information.